Howdy, Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment to talk to you about the Texas Wine Lover website and their phone app for both iPhones as well as Google devices. You can actually download this app, put it on your phone, or just go to the website if you're not an app person. And if you ever want to go visit some of these great locations that we've been talking about in the podcast, this will give you a great information about the place before you go. And you'll be able to find other wineries in the area. So if you want to make a day of it, go see several other places as well. You can search by region. You can sort the listings, find ones that are kid-friendly, family-friendly, even ones that host RVs. All kinds of different sortable listings you can find there in that app and on the website. You can find other things as well in the area like restaurants, accommodations, maybe events that are going on at the different wineries. So it's your one-stop resource that goes hand in hand with this podcast to be able to find those great places to go visit. So check out the Texas Wine Lover website. It's txwinelover.com. Or go to their app. You can find it on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store as well. Enjoy your trips among the vines and use that app. Welcome to Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best that Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Tripper. Welcome to episode 39 for Texas Under Vine. I'm headed back to Mason today, north in the Texas Hill Country, to explore in that hotspot region right now for new wineries, a place called Fly Gap Winery. Now, this winery was started by Brock Estes and is owned by him, and he is the winemaker. And he actually started out as a student at Texas Tech University in their hospitality program. He had to do a summer internship and fell in love with wine. Especially, he made connections with Don Pullum at Sandstone Cellars there in Mason. So he went back to school, convinced his professors there to let him do his hospitality internship working at a winery at Sandstone Cellars, and that's where he got his start. Now, after he finished that, he actually finished school and actually worked in the Dallas area with a restaurant chain. But after a stint there in the restaurant industry, he actually joined Great Creek Vineyards as an assistant winemaker and got a little bit of experience through his winemaking skills there under the great Jason Englert there at Great Creek Vineyards. But after that, he moved on to Houston and got involved in wine sales for a while, spent his time really investing his time into selling wines from all over the world and really understanding the world of wine through those sales. He actually started experimenting with making his own wine and started his winemaking operation by wholesaling his own wines in Texas before he even had a winery. And then comes 2021, he decides to buy this old feed store in downtown Mason, right on the square area, and started Fly Gap Winery. Now, they also sublet some of their space to a brewery right next door called THC Brewery. So if you have friends or people in your group that are more inclined to hop-style beverages, they can hop next door, literally, and grab some beer there. They share the space. And also, he shares some space with a fishmonger called The Real Deal, who comes in ever so often. So he has really become an entrepreneur there and is really expanding the use of his space there in that what used to be a feed store that's now Fly Gap Winery. Now, as you might imagine, I was really curious about the name of the winery, where it came from. And Bronco is going to tell you the story of that in the interview, so I don't want to spoil it yet. But it actually does come from a historical event that occurred back in this Mason area years ago. And so it does have some historical significance for that region and for the reason he named his winery that particular name, Fly Gap Winery. Now, they mostly specialize in red wines at Fly Gap, but you're going to get a taste of a lot of different things when you go. And when I was there, I actually got to sit down with Brock Estes. Now, it was a crazy day. They were in the middle, literally, of a crab and shrimp boil. The place was packed full to the gills. They had live music going on. It was kind of a difficult time to set up for video. So in this particular episode, we nixed the video and just went with the audio version. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're just going to get the audio part for the interview, but I will be back after the interview and we get to hear a little bit from Brock. He is, again, not only the owner, but the winemaker here, and great person. I mean, so many times throughout the interview, people were just wandering up and talking to him, and he was taking a break to talk to all the customers and all the people around him. You could tell he runs that place, but everybody loves him and knows him. He's everybody's best friend there. Now, you're going to hear that come out in his voice in the interview. You can tell he's definitely a very affable guy and fun to be around. But he's going to tell us a little bit about his own history, as well as the history of starting up Fly Gap and what to expect when you come for a tasting. So without further ado, let's get to that interview. So I'm here with Brock Estes, the owner and winemaker at Fly Gap Winery in beautiful Mason, Texas. And
Yay.
We got a great event going on right now today with the crab and crawfish boil and lots of fun wine drinking.
It's a great day. The weather's great.
I love it. Well, Brock, tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you into the wine industry?
Sure. So honestly, I got invited to pick fruit back in 2006 from Scott and Manny of Sandstone Cellars, and their winemaker at the time was Don Pullum. And I didn't have anything going on. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go help y'all pick fruit. And what happened was I just started asking Don a ton of questions, like I was just asking way too many questions, and I kind of got bit by the bug. I kind of knew right then. I had this like aha moment, like, I think this is something that I can dive into. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And it just developed from there. Ultimately, I was up at Texas Tech, and I was in the restaurant hotel management program.
Okay. Hospitality was nothing new to you.
Hospitality was my thing. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to have an internship to graduate, and I'd kind of procrastinated, and I was in a situation where I needed an internship really quick. So right after the weekend where I picked fruit, I went back to Lubbock, and I asked one of my professors, hey, you think I could do my internship in wine, working for Sandstone Winery and making wine? And they allowed me to do that. So I got credit to, I made wine. Of course, I had to kind of structure the program. I made a lot of wine, but at the same time, like, I needed to have some hospitality aspects. And so it was a good time, and I got my feet wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really got to learn under Don at that time.
Got to learn under Don, and then went back to school, graduated. I started managing Jace's Deli up in Dallas.
Okay.
And that worked out at that for a while. And then I ended up taking an assistant winemaker at Grape Creek.
Okay.
Yeah, back in 2008. And I worked with Jason Engler for a year and a half. And then I ended up moving to Houston. I got into wine sales.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sold for a distributor for quite a while. And then I got back into the wine game. And that's when I started my own thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about this place. So tell me a little bit about this location's history, how it got started. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So originally, this was a feed store. And, we really wanted to keep the feed store alive in a sense. One thing we did do is I brought down other vendors and we lease space to like the brewery.
Okay. There's a brewery right next door.
Yeah,
there.
there's a brewery right through the doors. We looked at some business models where they have a brewery and a winery, and like in certain instances, when a winery added a brewery, their wine sales actually increased. Cause now you got couples coming, like
diverse palate.
yeah, diverse, yeah. So
Cool.
that's kind of our motto. And then we have a fishmonger that comes every now and then. It's a small business collective.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
And it's right here on the square in Mason. So
Right here on the square.
perfect location. When did you open?
We opened in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. So since 2013, I was wholesaling Fly Gap wines. And then in 2021, we went from 100% wholesale to pretty much 100% retail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about the name of the location, Fly Gap. Where did that come from?
Yeah. So Fly Gap, my mother's family's from, well, they've been in Mason since like the 1850s.
Oh, wow.
They came from Tennessee. There's a lot of Tennesseans came to Texas and settled. Anyways, in the northeastern part of the county, there's this band of settlers. They were not getting along with the Comanches at the time and everything. And so they heard they had crossed the river, and they figured they were taking this one certain path. Well, they tucked their horses in this gap in the mountains, and they went and hid in ambush, waiting to ambush the Indians.
Yeah.
Well, nothing ever happened, but when they get back to their horses, swarms of horseflies were eating on them.
Oh.
So they call the area Fly Gap, and let's just
specific to that area.
Yeah.
There. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's a historical kind of
I gotcha.
name.
So where do you source your fruit for your wines?
I try to get most of my fruit from here in Mason.
Okay.
We're doing a pretty good job of that. I'm working with Drew Talent a lot lately. Yeah. So right now, one of our wines is from the High Plains. I've got some fruit from Par, some fruit from Drew Talent. We got some other local sources, and then I was managing a vineyard between here and Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And then I got the Tempranillo off of, and I'm growing a couple acres just south of Fredonia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you have your own little kind of estate?
Yeah, we got, we're planting grapes. We don't do it on a large scale, but yeah, it takes a lot of work.
What are you planting there?
Syrah, Sangiovese, Sagrantino.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And do you process everything here?
I process everything. Yeah.
Okay. You have a little production facility?
Yeah, we got space in the back here. And then sometimes if we run out of space, I'll just kind of, honestly, I make wine everywhere. So, yeah.
So what are some of your favorite wines to make?
I specialize in reds.
Okay.
So mostly I make reds. I've enjoyed some like making a rosé recently.
What varietal?
So we have a Dolcetto coming out.
Okay.
Upcoming. It's really peachy of all things. Yeah, it's got a lot of peach flavors and stuff. Honestly, like in 2020, I really changed my winemaking techniques a little bit. I think that was the year where I started to really make better wine. I started making wines that were kind of reflected me a little bit more. So one thing that I started doing was, I kind of took a step back and I said, quit trying to do too much. For let the wine kind of be what it is.
Speak for itself.
Yeah. So I started focusing on like how many layers can I get in the bottle, because I know layers can create complexity, and complexity is a good thing. So I look at a lot now as like an opportunity to blend. I've been blending my single varietals. So I'll take, let's say I have 4 bins of the same fruit. I'll take 2 bins and put like my base yeast that I want to use into those 2. And then I'll separate the other bins and add a different yeast in each one. So I might have 3 different yeasts going.
Okay.
For the same kind of fruit. And then I might add some oak while I'm in the primary fermentation. But, I really don't do the same thing throughout the whole lot of the wine. I try to blend the single varietal, and then I put all that back together.
Okay.
So my blend, like people ask me, like, why haven't you made blends in a while? Well, my answer to them is like, I'm blending the single varietal, and that's why, for the first time ever, I've got all these single varietals that I release, because they're standing on them alone. They're standing up really well, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, because like now if I do go to blend, like those are incredible. You know what I mean? The situation we kind of run into is we deal with such low volume that, not blending's kind of interesting. That's the one area that you really have to let the fruit tell you what to do. Like, you can't, some grape varietals just don't belong together, right? So we blend if we can, if the wine will let us.
Yeah.
We
But
will.
sometimes those single varietals speak for themselves.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I've been in more control in my winemaking than I've ever been. This last year was pretty rough. This last year I have more tweaking than I've ever had to do, but it's been nice.
Well, what are some of your most popular wines with customers? What are the ones that people just keep asking for?
Sure. So, for a while it's been our Barbera.
Okay.
Our Barbera de Mason, which, Drew Talent is the grower of that. And then I kind of went out on a limb and I named it Barbera de Mason just because, Barbera d'Asti is the region in Italy where it's grown. Anyways, I entered that into Texan and we got a silver. It was the highest award given to any Barbera, and we tied with the Barbera d'Asti. So that was cool. I had a guy recently, he had spent a week over in Barbera d'Asti, and he's like, hey man, this stands up. So that one's been one of the top sellers. But now the most, the wines, they just kind of ebb and flow. You'll have a top seller for 6 months, and then all of a sudden
It's something else.
The one I'd say in the last 3 weeks has been the Parved 2020 Parved, which is a Morved that Rottweiler grew. And we've always here at the tasting room, and right away I knew this wine's going to be a good wine. It's just, we bottled it. It was just so tight, and I knew it was going to take time. And we kind of forgot about it because it was really kind of brash. I mean, it was really rough around the edges, and I was just like, man, this just needs time. And we hadn't even really looked at it, touched it for about a good year and a half. And then the other day I was like, hey, let's see where this is at. And it's starting to sing. So
coming into its own.
Yeah, so that's the one that we're really starting to push in the last 3 weeks. Before the Barbera, it was the Sangiovese. They just, you never know,
Yeah, when a wine comes into its own as well.
Yeah.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. Did you know that I now have a merchandise store for Texas Under Vine? I only have a handful of limited items, but you can go check those out and wear your Texas Under Vine swag if you'd like to tell all your friends about the great wine locations we have here in Texas and maybe get them interested in the podcast as well. So there are things like t-shirts, there's a hoodie, there's a beanie, a ball cap, things like that. But one of the most exciting things I have right now is my limited time offer t-shirt. That's my season 1 t-shirt. So this is your Tasting Through Texas Under Vine season 1 t-shirt. It's only going to be available for a little short amount of time. On the back, it has all the different locations like a band tour t-shirt. So this is a limited time item and you can go out and get it now. And one of the great things about that t-shirt is a portion of every sale goes to support the Texas Hill Country Winery Scholarship Fund. So you know that by buying that t-shirt, you're also investing in the growing and flourishing of an amazing wine industry here in Texas and all of those people that are going to come and make it even better. Check out that merchandise store. It's on my website at texasundervine.com. Just go up to the top. You'll see the link for the merchandise store.
All right. Well, so here we are. We got great event going on. Lots of stuff happening here. What types of events do you usually put on at the winery?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll put on some wine dinners here and there.
Okay.
We are connected to other businesses. So today, the Real Deal Seafood Market's throwing their crab and shrimp boil. Man, we're always doing something. We have in July, we do a inflatable water park out front.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So events, I mean, we're always throwing some kind of event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's say that a listener is getting excited. They want to come check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe they might want to come visit, do a tasting. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, we're open Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 2 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
So, the best case scenario, I don't know. So normally you'll come in, we'll tell you, hey, you can get wine, beer. This is the food options we have for the weekend. And then honestly, they just sit down. My tasting, if they want to do a tasting of wine.
Like a flight?
Yeah, a flight. We do $20 for a tasting. I'll pour 5 different wines for you.
Okay.
And we'll just start from light and work up to the bolder ones, And then the cool thing is they get to, meet everybody. It's a collective of artisans, and it's nice to be surrounded by artists because, the other one everybody's pushing everybody to do better, right?
Yeah.
So it's good.
Why don't I take it from this event? You're family friendly and pet friendly.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Family friendly, pet friendly.
And you mentioned food options. Sometimes you have food. Can people bring their own food in? Or?
We're just really easygoing. Yes, we've had people come with their own food before. We don't have a problem with that. We got Jack's Hill Country Kitchen, who comes quite often. Okay. They have 3 menu items. They never do the same thing.
Okay.
And Jack's Hill Country Kitchen, they're actually George and Marissa are part owners of Terra Trails Winery that they started up with a guy named Jason. So they're it's good to have just family around,
Yeah, make those connections.
Yeah.
Other businesses. What are your busy and slow seasons? What's the best time to come visit Fly Gap?
Yeah. The best time is in the spring or in the fall. Those are our busiest seasons. Every year we kick off the spring with what we're doing today, like a crab and shrimp boil. And that starts at the end of February. March and April and most of May will be very busy. And then we start slowing down in the summer. And then once September comes around, we'll have a big fall push until the middle of December.
Okay.
So I'd say, fall and spring are the best times to visit.
Yeah. Do you have like a wine club or anything people can join?
I do. We just started a wine club last year.
Okay. What are the details on that?
Yeah, so we keep it pretty simple. You know, we ask that you buy 6 bottles or a case.
Okay.
And we ship those 2 times a year, 1 shipment in the spring and 1 shipment in the fall.
Gotcha. Anything else about the wine club?
So, you know, we're starting to put wines on the wine. There's going to be wines that the general public can get.
Okay.
So our Barbera is about to go wine club only. I'm releasing the Alicon Boucher that I don't have enough of. I got like, 22 cases. It was 1 barrel. We got my Tempranillo, this wine club only. So like, we're about to have 4 wines that are wine club only.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sit down with I gotta refresh our website. And then we're gonna go just really honestly, we're gonna start pushing wine club a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we're really trying to do is I really want all the pickups to be like at a different place, and we really want to do some really cool pickup parties.
Okay, cool.
It's just something that we're growing and I need to spend more time on. But our focus for the future is more wine club.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
Okay. Well, if let's say somebody couldn't get here for whatever reason to come in, do you do any kind of distribution, or do you have places where can you sell online on your website?
Yeah,
or places where people can buy your wines?
So since you asked, like the answer right now, like as of today, is no. I don't have. There's not much you can do really, but I do want to sell through the website and ship to whoever, and it's like a point and click. You can just order whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That way, for people that couldn't get here, they can still order and try things.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, do you have any plans for future growth besides the wine club and things like that?
Yeah. So I'd say for right now, we're kind of like just we're in a holding pattern. We're gonna let this year go through, and then we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, there's one aspect of, this property is really cool that we have, and we still got some things we need to finish, and we still got some areas where we can add more tenants. And so that's kind of what I am focused on in the short term.
Okay.
Is getting 1 or 2 more tenants in here, and then having a really strong business model. After that, I am going to want to go and kind of do some planting and on my own, and just kind of honestly like stay small and do my own thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So what, in your opinion, is the number one thing that really sets Fly Gap apart that would make a customer say, well, there's a lot of wineries I can go to, but I have to check out Fly Gap?
Yeah. So though I know one thing that sets us apart is you're not going to taste wines like this probably anywhere else in the general vicinity. My wines have a piece of me, and it's just, it's just character. Sometimes they're a little rustic. Every now and then, there might be a little too much sediment. But we've got wines that just, they've got something, right? They've got character. They're complex. They're not always perfect. They're like me. And then I'd say you really, if you want to get to know like me and what I'm about and everything, the best thing you can do is, just ask questions. I'm not always, I don't like to talk about myself too much. Like, and I was telling somebody the other day, right? Like, back in, I'd say, 2016, 17, 18, 2015, like my wines weren't there. And so like, I really had to like sell, I had to talk so much to like sell wine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and that really stuck with me. And I've worked really, really hard to let the wines, like the wine is going to sell itself, right? And so I guess sometimes I don't know what you call it. I do let them sell themselves, and then I'll have people tell me, well, we wish you would have talked a little bit more or whatever, I'll talk. It's just, you gotta ask the questions. I'm not going to come out and just,
So the wines are a piece of you.
The wines are a piece of me. I've got a lot of passion about wine. I'd say the other thing that separates us two is just, it's very different. This whole model you don't see everywhere.
It's very relaxed.
Yeah, it's relaxing. Just come and have a good time with us. I mean, I've never met a stranger,
Okay, well, truer words have never been spoken. Brock really does make you feel like you're part of his family. I don't think he's ever met a stranger, and he loves with his heart what he's doing and what he's putting into the winery and to those wines, his great creations, that he is trying to put his own character and his own stamp into each one of those wines and let them be what they're going to turn out to be. And hospitality could easily be his middle name. I could easily tell that taking care of his customers was such an important thing to Brock. And when you go there, you're going to have a great experience just because he's going to make sure that you do. Now, his wines are definitely unique. They're going to be some interesting blends, some things maybe you haven't seen before. And he definitely has put his stamp. They're representative of his character, and each one has its own little story in the bottle. And don't forget, there's the THC brewery next door. There's the fishmonger, and as Brock said in the interview, he'd like to see even more places actually start using the space as well. So there may be even some more things down the road to come next door and as part of this whole experience there at Fly Gap Winery. Now, as always, before you go, make sure you check out their website. It's www.flygapwinery.com. So there you'll find a tab for when you come to visit. You can find out a little more information about what to expect when you come to visit. You'll see some information about some of that historical story about Fly Gap and the past events that caused the name of the winery. You'll see information about their wines, how to join their wine club. They even have a calendar of events there on the website that you can check out. And as always, don't forget, when you go to see them, make sure you tell Brock and everyone there that you heard about them on this podcast, Texas Under Vine. Now, after the interview, even though there was this great party going on, Brock took some time to pour some of those great wines for me. And he definitely, like I said, puts his own unique stamp on each one of them. And he has some funny and interesting names for some of his wines. They're just as creative as he is. Like, for instance, you've got Parvedre, which is a Mourvedre from Par Vineyards. And so he combines it. He's even got a wine called Transcendation, but it's got numbers in there for different letters and things like that. Very unique kind of spelling of the word. And he even makes one that's actually a couple of more tannic varieties of red wine, Sagrantino and Tannat, as a blend. And of course, he calls it Sagranat. I love his wording and some of the fun character he puts into those wines. But when I was there, I tasted the Barbera de Mason that he talked about earlier, which is a 100% Barbera wine from Mason County. It's actually from Talent Vineyards, and that's the one that I fell in love with. So I had to make this my library bottle for this episode. It was so full of flavor, and just so the label itself is incredible. And a tribute to Barbera d'Asti, which is the Italian location where Barbera is famous from. But this is Barbera de Mason, which is from Mason County and Talent Vineyard. So very good job with that particular wine. Really enjoyed it, and you ought to try that when you go. Well, the party has since wound down, and it's time for me to move along from this really exciting place called Fly Gap Winery here in Mason, Texas. But, this whole area, like I said, is growing. There should be a great expansion of wineries in this area. There's 2 new AVAs, or American Vitilogical Areas, that are in proposal stage right now that are almost finalized. And when those come online, you'll have the Llano Uplift and the Hickory Sands that are there in that encompass some of that Mason area, especially the Hickory Sands in that area. And I imagine when those really come on board, we're going to see an even greater expanse. I expect Fly Gap to just be one of the first wave of these wineries that are continue to grow. It's going to be a really hot spot for the Texas wine industry coming up. Watch for a lot of new wineries to pop up in that area. It surely has a bright spot in the Texas wine industry. Now, if you want to keep up on the Texas wine industry and the future of that and all these great places you can go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And if you're enjoying the content and all the stuff that I'm bringing to you about these great wine locations, would you do me a favor and actually leave me a rating or review wherever you get this podcast? If you're watching it on YouTube, you can like and subscribe down there. And if you've actually been to Fly Gap Winery, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about your experience when you were there. And if you'd like to leave me any direct feedback, you can always contact me on my socials. It's at Texas Under Vine on almost all the social platforms. Or you can email me directly, scott@texasundervine.com. And I would love to hear what you have to say. And if you're enjoying the show, or if you have any suggestions for improvement or things you'd like to see or places you'd like me to visit. So send me that information if you would. I really want to make sure that I'm bringing you Vine Trippers everything that you want to know and hear and see. And with that, my time is up. So remember, subscribe to the podcast, follow my socials to be notified anytime a new episode is released. And until next time, happy trails and bottoms up, y'all. Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at Texas Under Vine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly. Vine Trippers, have I got a deal for you? So if you haven't checked out the Texas Wine Club yet, you have to go check it out. So you can get wine clubs at all of these different great wineries that I've talked about in the episodes. But if you can't get a chance to get to those places and you want to sample some of those various wines, this is the perfect fit for this podcast. So I've partnered with Texas Wine Club. If you go to their website, they scour the whole state. They choose great wines from all over the Texas wineries, and they put them together into packs that they ship out every quarter. You could pick out a package of 3, 6, or 9 bottles, and every quarter you can get a taste of different wineries throughout Texas without having to travel to them. So if you've wanted to taste some of the great wine I've talked about on this podcast, here's your chance without having to travel. So what you're going to want to do is go to www.txwine.com and pick your package that you want to try. And when you put in my code, Texas Under Vine, that's all one word, TEXASUNDERVINE, as your coupon code, you'll get $20 off your purchase. So head on over there. You can also find the link in the show notes here for this podcast, and go check out Texas Wine. They're a perfect fit with this podcast. So go drink some great wine.